On a recent episode of Fox and Friends, President Donald Trump's phone interview took a disturbing turn, exposing what many observers are calling clear signs of cognitive decline. The 45th and 47th president, now 79 years old, struggled through a conversation marked by incoherent tangents, bizarre personal revelations, and a troubling admission about his private communications with Russian President Vladimir Putin. This incident, coupled with his ongoing focus on personal grievances and elite interests, has reignited concerns about his mental fitness to lead the nation. As Democrats, we must confront this issue head-on, not only to hold Trump accountable, but to protect the integrity of our democracy and the well-being of the American people. The Fox and Friends episode in question, aired in August 2025, was meant to be a routine interview with President Trump, a platform where he has historically enjoyed a friendly audience. However, what unfolded was anything but routine. Trump's responses were disjointed, veering from topic to topic with little coherence, and included a shocking revelation about a personal relationship involving Fox News host Sean Hannity. The hosts, visibly uncomfortable, abruptly ended the call, a move that underscores the severity of Trump's on-air behavior. This incident is not an isolated event, but part of a broader pattern of concerning behavior that has been documented by experts and media outlets alike. Trump began the interview with a rambling monologue about Washington, D.C., claiming he had transformed the city into an incredible place in just 4 days. He boasted about restaurants bursting with customers, a claim that contradicts reports of economic struggles and declining business activity in the capital. This obsession with superficial achievements, particularly those benefiting his wealthy associates, highlights a disconnect from the pressing issues facing everyday Americans, such as affordability crises and access to essential services like healthcare. The interview took a more alarming turn when Trump discussed a recent meeting with world leaders, during which he reportedly left to take a private call with Vladimir Putin. He admitted to taking the call alone, stating it would have been disrespectful to Putin to include others. This admission raises serious questions about transparency and national security, especially given Trump's history of praising Putin and dismissing the Russia investigation as a hoax. His claim that Putin had not spoken to the Biden administration or European leaders for years is not only unverifiable, but also suggests a troubling prioritization of personal relationships over diplomatic protocol. Perhaps the most jarring moment came when Trump veered into a bizarre tangent about Sean Hannity, alleging a romantic relationship between the Fox News host and a lovely young lady who was purportedly present during the interview. The hosts, clearly caught off guard, scrambled to cut Trump off, with one saying, "Mr. President, we don't want to get him in trouble." The feed was abruptly terminated, a rare move for a network known for its unwavering support of Trump. This incident not only embarrassed the hosts, but also underscored Trump's inability to maintain focus or exercise discretion, traits essential for a commander-in-chief. This Fox and Friends episode is not an isolated incident, but part of a growing body of evidence, suggesting cognitive decline in President Trump since his return to the White House in January 2025. Observers have noted a marked deterioration in his speech patterns, memory, and ability to stay on topic. Experts in psychology, linguistics, and rhetoric have pointed to several red flags, including increased tangentiality, repetition, shorter sentences, and a reliance on simplistic or inflammatory language. These changes are particularly striking when compared to Trump's earlier years, when he was described as more articulate, even if controversial. Dr. John Gartner, a psychologist and former professor at Johns Hopkins University, has been vocal about Trump's condition, suggesting in a June 2025 interview that he may be exhibiting signs of frontotemporal dementia. This condition affects speech and motor functions and can lead to behavioral disinhibition, which aligns with Trump's increasingly erratic public appearances. Gardner noted, "If you go back and look at film from the 1980s, Trump was extremely articulate. He was still a jerk, but he was able to express himself in polished paragraphs. And now he really has trouble completing a thought." Other experts have echoed these concerns. Dr. Ben Michaelis, a clinical psychologist, told PBS News in October 2024 that Trump's rambling and incoherent remarks, coupled with his fixation on past events, could indicate cognitive issues. If a patient presented to me with the verbal incoherence, tangential thinking, and repetitive speech that Trump now regularly demonstrates, I would almost certainly refer them for a rigorous neuropsychiatric evaluation, Michaelis said. Similarly, Dr. Jennifer Murciega, a rhetoric expert at Texas A&M University, noted in May 2025 that Trump's lack of focus makes it seem as though he's experiencing cognitive decline, that his brain is not well disciplined. These observations are supported by quantitative analyses of Trump's speech. A 2024 study by Stat found that Trump's speaking style has deteriorated since 2017, with increased use of short sentences, repetition, and digressions. The study also noted a 32% increase in negative words and a 69% rise in profanity, which experts suggest may reflect cognitive changes or disinhibition. Additionally, Trump's frequent references to outdated cultural figures, such as Johnny Carson or Charles Lindbergh, and his confusion of historical events, like claiming Joan Rivers voted for him in 2016 despite her death in 2014, further fuel concerns about his mental acuity. Trump has consistently dismissed concerns about his cognitive health, often touting his performance on the Montreal Cognitive Assessment, MoCA, taken in January 2018, where he scored a perfect 30/30ths. He frequently references this test, famously reciting the sequence: person, woman, man, camera, TV, as evidence of his mental sharpness. However, Dr. Ziad Nasreddin, the creator of the MoCA, has cautioned that the test is a basic screening tool for mild cognitive impairment and is not indicative of overall mental fitness, especially years after it was administered. Trump's campaign has also pushed back against criticism, with spokesperson Stephen Cheung claiming in October 2024 that Trump is the strongest and most capable candidate, with more energy and stamina than anyone in politics. Yet these assertions are undermined by Trump's reduced campaign Schedule 61 rallies in 2024, compared to 283 in 2016, and reports of him appearing tired or disengaged, such as nodding off during his hush money trial. In contrast, Trump's White House physician, Dr. Sean Barbabella, issued a report in April 2025 stating that Trump was in excellent cognitive and physical health. However, this report has been met with skepticism, given Trump's history of dictating favorable medical reports during his first term. Critics argue that the administration's lack of transparency, including Trump's refusal to release detailed medical records since 2015, raises further doubts about his health. The implications of Trump's apparent cognitive decline extend far beyond his public appearances. As president, he wields immense power over domestic and foreign policy, from economic decisions to military strategy. His focus on personal grievances and elite interests, as seen in his Fox and Friends comments about D.C. restaurants and his billionaire friends, suggests a disconnect from the needs of ordinary Americans. His tax policies, which prioritize cuts for the wealthy, and his extravagant projects, like a $200 million ballroom, exacerbate economic inequality at a time when many are struggling with rising costs. On the international stage, Trump's handling of the Russia-Ukraine conflict is particularly concerning. His claim that he can end the war through personal rapport with Putin, rather than through sanctions or diplomacy, reflects a naive and potentially dangerous approach to foreign policy. His admission of private calls with Putin, conducted without advisors, raises alarms about unchecked decision-making and potential vulnerabilities to foreign influence. Moreover, his incoherent remarks about Ukraine, including blaming Obama for Russia's annexation of Crimea and praising Putin's good deal, demonstrate a troubling misunderstanding of geopolitical realities. The Fox and Friends incident also highlights the role of media in addressing Trump's cognitive issues. While progressive outlets like MSNBC and The Guardian have been vocal about these concerns, conservative media, including Fox News, have historically downplayed or ignored them, a practice critics call sane-washing. However, the abrupt termination of Trump's interview suggests that even Fox News could not fully conceal his erratic behavior. This moment may mark a turning point, forcing even his staunchest supporters to confront the reality of his condition. The discussion of Trump's cognitive health must be situated within the broader context of aging and leadership. At 79, Trump is the oldest person to assume the presidency, surpassing Ronald Reagan. Age-related cognitive changes are a natural part of aging, but the pressures of the presidency, high-stakes decisions, constant scrutiny, and relentless schedules can exacerbate these challenges. The contrast between Trump and his predecessor Joe Biden is instructive. Biden faced intense scrutiny over his cognitive health, particularly after a poor debate performance in June 2024, which ultimately led to his decision not to seek re-election. Yet Trump's similar or more pronounced lapses have received less attention, in part due to his vibrant public persona and the loyalty of his base. This double standard is not just a media failing, but a political one. Democrats must seize this opportunity to demand accountability, not out of partisanship, but out of concern for the nation's stability. The presidency requires clarity of thought, emotional stability, and a commitment to the public good qualities that Trump's recent behavior calls into question. By highlighting these issues, Democrats can contrast their vision of competent, transparent leadership with Trump's erratic and self-serving approach. As Democrats, we have a responsibility to address Trump's cognitive decline with both urgency and nuance. This is not about personal attacks or exploiting a health issue for political gain. It is about ensuring that the leader of the free world is capable of fulfilling their duties. We must call for transparency, including the release of comprehensive medical records, and advocate for policies that prioritize the needs of all Americans, not just the elite. Moreover, Democrats should use this moment to push for systemic reforms, such as mandatory cognitive screenings for presidential candidates or age limits for elected officials. While such measures may face resistance, they could prevent future crises and ensure that leaders are equipped to handle the demands of their roles. We must also counter Trump's narrative of strength and vigor with evidence-based critiques, drawing on expert analyses and public records to make our case. To resonate with the American public, Democrats must frame this issue in terms of shared values, accountability, competence, and the common good. The Fox and Friends incident, with its mix of incoherence and personal indiscretions, is a powerful example that can cut through partisan noise. By sharing clips of this interview and others like it, we can demonstrate that Trump's behavior is not just Trump being Trump, but a cause for genuine concern. Social media platforms, including X, offer a space to amplify these moments, as seen in posts from progressive accounts like at Call to Activism, which highlighted Trump's confusion during a recent press briefing. However, we must be cautious not to alienate Trump's base, who may view these criticisms as attacks on their identity. Instead, we should appeal to their sense of patriotism and desire for effective leadership, asking whether they want a president who struggles to articulate coherent policies or maintain diplomatic decorum. By focusing on the stakes: national security, economic stability, and global leadership, we can broaden the conversation beyond partisan divides.